Hi, everybody. This is Chris West from House Calls Vermont, and today I am going to be doing an interview with Scott Dionne. Scott Dionne is the Chief Marketing Officer for Timber HP, and Timber HP, from what I understand, is a company that is developing a factory in Maine that's going to be producing a wood fiber insulation material similar to some of the products we've seen on the market like Eco4 or Gutex. So, Scott, welcome to House Calls Vermont, and thanks for taking the time out to speak with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris.
What is the product, and tell us more about what is going on in the factory and development, and just we want to know more about this new installation that's going to be made domestically. That until recently we've only been able to get from an international supplier.
Yeah, so of course, wood fiber insulation is certainly not a new technology. It's been on the market in Europe for well over 2 decades. There's 15 production facilities in the European market, with 4 more production facilities coming online in the next 2 to 3 years. Right now in Europe, wood fiber insulation accounts for well over $700 million in sales into the European Union. Again, in Europe, if you know a bit about construction in Europe, most of it's masonry, with only about 20 to 25% of residential construction being wood frame. So really, when we talk wood fiber insulation, it's insulation for wood frame construction. There's 3 types of insulation, and we'll be producing all 3 types in Madison, Maine, at the former paper mill. And we'll be producing a loose fill, which is analogous to cellulose or loose fiberglass. We have a batt product that's a press fit batt, similar to the mineral wool products that are on the market. And we have continuous board insulation to kind of take the place of exterior board, foam, and mineral wool. And the board product is really the product that has been imported from Europe by some folks in passive house design, and some folks who are focused on low carbon impact materials. So, but we'll have all 3 about wood fiber insulation production in the United States or North America, primarily the U.S. and Canada. We're going to be the first producer, are about a third of what they are in Europe, and our energy costs are about a half. And anybody in the building industry right now thinking about wood costs being low are probably not thinking that I know what I'm talking about, but
Actually,
the wood that we're going to be
actually, last week we had a whole discussion about the price of logs is about as low as it has been in a very long time.
right. Yeah, so I mean, loggers are actually getting paid less now for saw logs than they were pre-COVID. So the residuals are what we're using. We're using leftovers from lumber production that have typically been marked for paper production. But if you look at paper production domestically over the past 5 or 10 years, it's a pretty tough landscape because we're not using nearly as much paper these days. So in the state of Maine, we've lost 6 paper mills in the past 5 years. So all of those low value residuals have to go somewhere. And wood fiber insulation makes perfect sense because it would be taking these softwood species agnostic residuals and turning them into a high value product. These 3 insulation products, and introducing them to wood frame construction throughout the United States and Canada.
So you're talking about having product. Right now you don't have any product available. Right now you guys, or do you have, I remember you were saying that loose fill was going to be the first product available and that was going to be happening sometime this year. Do I remember that right?
Well, right now we're finishing our engineering, which is pretty considerable. So we're completing our financing of the project, which is a $120 million build out of this project. And we are finishing the engineering, and we'll be moving very shortly in the next month or 2 into construction. We have our board line to produce the board product line actually is sitting in Maine. We purchased that from Home and Eat in Germany. It was a used board line. produced by Diefenbacher, and Diefenbacher has been hired to upgrade the board line for our needs. So they're one firm that's working on this project.
A board line, you mean the manufacturing machines that make the board, right? Just to clarify.
Yeah, correct. So the Diefenbacher line will create a monolithic board product that is from 1 inch thick all the way up to 10 inches thick.
Wow.
It would be similar to the board products that you've seen produced by Styco and Gutek.
Okay, and
we have our batt line.
No, go ahead.
Our batt line is a domestic producer, and the loose fill packaging is an equipment supplier who produces packaging equipment for the cellulose industry also.
Okay, so
we're completing all of that engineering. Completing all that engineering, and then we'll be pivoting right into building out the facility, which most of the work has to be done ahead of time when it comes to engineering, understanding how the equipment's going to be produced, how it's going to fit in our facility. And then the loose fill product line will be coming into production the second quarter of 2022. And the batt line will be coming on late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and the board line will be coming on late fourth quarter, early first quarter of 2023.
Okay. So what the first thing that, I mean, availability is, of course, very important when we're talking about a new product, but also availability, not time-wise, but price point-wise and local distributor-wise. So here in northern Vermont, but just say Vermont in general, when we were talking initially, you described the distribution network that you're going to be working with. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So independent lumber dealers really focus on added value. And that's really what our product line is. We want people who are going to help provide solutions to the market. And that's really what we're doing is we're taking this proven technology from the European market and we're adapting it to codes in the United States and how we approach the build. With that, it's, looking at supply chain and how we buy our insulating products, which will be able to follow those pathways, independent lumber dealers and having a two-step distribution partner with warehouses across the Northeast. But the bigger question on supply that you bring up is pricing. And for us, due to the fact that wood prices are a third of what they are in Europe and energy is half. In Europe, the product enters the market as a premium that's focused primarily on the sustainability market. Whereas for us producing domestically, we're able to enter the market on price point with all of the common insulation products that are being produced today. So we'll be able to approach the mainstream construction market without simply having to follow niche pathways to market for sustainable building or just passive house. We'll be able to open up this technology to scale so that we can have true impact in the built environment. And for me, my background is mainstream construction. I've been in the lumber and building materials industry for the past 26 years. I started at the local lumber yard and worked through distribution. I was vice president of operations for a multi-chain retailer. For me, price is important, but performance is the absolute key. This product has to perform as well or better than all the other insulation products on the market. Otherwise, nobody is going to give it a second look.
Absolutely.
So price and performance. And with wood fiber insulation, it comes down to fire and water. As soon as you get people to understand that the product doesn't burn, our loose fill and batt product are treated with boric acid, which is a fire retardant. It's also a mold and mildew inhibitor and a pest deterrent. But we've tested European product with UL and ICC. The loose fill and batt came back with a Class A flame spread when looking at ASTM 4. The board product typically doesn't even have a flame retardant in it, because if you think about what the board product is trying to replace, it's trying to replace foam, EPS and XPS and polyiso, which all of those foam products will melt, and many would ignite, but foam products are treated with flame retardants. But with the board product, not treated with flame retardants, we've tested the European product with ICC and got a Class B flame spread onto different densities of product. So when you talk about fire, that's really what you have to look at. And if people realize that the product's not going to burn, and I have videos that I can share at a later date, but with water, we're talking about creating vapor open assemblies, so we're not trapping indoor humidity in the built environment in assemblies. But also with the board product, it's so unique. It's vapor open, so it allows indoor humidity to exit the built environment. It's hydrophobic, so it repels bulk moisture during construction, and if the cladding were compromised. In Europe, they'll actually give you a 3+ month warranty of board product installed in roofing applications. So we see the board product primarily being installed in sidewall applications. Right. It'll repel that bulk moisture, and it's hygroscopic. So if it does get saturated, it'll spread that moisture out through its entire surface, and it'll exit the product when conditions allow without changing it dimensionally, which is extremely unique. So if the product performs, then we could start getting in the price is competitive with all of the other products on the market. Then we could start talking about the HP. So if you look at timber HP, HP means high performance first, and it means healthy people and healthy planet second. And for healthy people, if you look at the folks who are installing these products, they don't have to worry about the fibers being trapped in their skin for 2 to 3 days.
Just the irritation of mineral wool,
And you don't have to worry about what you're breathing in because it's sawdust.
Yeah.
And, on the healthy people piece too, we're creating built environments that are vapor open, that are not trapping humidity in the built environment, causing issues with mold and mildew and allergens.
Exactly.
And creating safe spaces acoustically. Very few insulations perform any better than wood fiber insulation. Though we talk so often about thermal applications, because we have a cavity insulation, a continuous insulation, and blanket insulation, a lot of people forget about the acoustic merits. On multifamily especially, they're using 3 times the amount of acoustic insulation, thermal insulation.
Yeah.
So there's a tremendous opportunity for wood fiber to be used in those applications, especially with the fact that it has a flame spread rate.
Right. And I've worked on a number of multifamily projects where the sound attenuation between units was easily as expensive as the exterior wall insulation. It's a very important part of that making sure that people are comfortable living in these close environs and don't feel like they're sharing each other's information unnecessarily.
Right.
I love a great laying out of exactly what the product is. And I love the idea that it's going to come in at a good price point. So one of the things I'd like to do is when the products become available, I'd like to set up a demonstration here in our area with the home builders, with Vermont Passive House, with members of the Efficiency Vermont Energy Excellence Network, and really get people to take a look at this product as an alternative to the mineral spun, whether it's fiberglass or mineral wool or these plastic insulations, which are problematic not just because they burn and not just because of all of these agents in them, but because just having them in the ground causes microplastics to be shed and put into our watershed, and we're just starting to understand how dangerous microplastics are. So this is a very important development. I'm all for getting towards a house that if we stopped touching it would rot into a non-toxic heap after 50 years, right? It's the non-toxic being critical in that discussion. So I appreciate that as well. Are you all going to be doing an opening? Is there some kind of gala going on to celebrate the start of the like an unveiling that we can expect to get an invitation to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're taking it a step further because really when it comes to sales and marketing, our focus is all embedded in education. Our boots on the ground selling this product are really just going to be support people to the paths to market. And those boots on the ground are going to be building science experts, just helping support the construction industry. And, we want to be able to answer the questions about different assemblies for the market and really showing people that this product line is a drop-in replacement for the products they're using these days. And with the loose fill product, you don't have to go out and buy a new blower. Actually, to dense pack the cavity, they have to put less density of wood fiber in the cavity to achieve the same R value as other loose insulations that they're using. That product is a press fit install similar to the unfaced products that they're used to using. And the board product has greater compressive strength and, a lot of the continuous alternatives out there, so they don't have to worry about shimming their batt and rain screen for a day to try to get their cladding to sit flat because it has greater compressive strength.
Yeah.
But the education piece is so crucial to the point that we're creating a MAD lab in our production facility, MAD because we're located in Madison. And that lab is really a cross between a physical chemistry lab and a residential construction lab. So if folks want to come and take a tour of the facility, that's great. We'll have educational opportunities there also. But as part of our marketing efforts, we're leveraging that lab to educate visually the construction market and create resources for the construction market. Behind the scenes, we're building out our website to be a resource center for the industry on building to code and beyond code using wood fiber insulation.
You brought up the building science aspect of it, and of course, Jim Bradley, my co-host, and I are all about the building science. What is the density that the dense pack is for the loose fill material for a wall?
So with cellulose, we talk about 3.5 pounds per cubic foot
Yeah.
for the most part. With wood fiber from our R&D testing, we say there's a 20% deduct there. Whereas if you look at the European market, they don't dense pack to the densities that we do stateside. But for us, we want to be able to dense pack to a point where we're maximizing R value, maximizing air and the insulation itself is self-supporting. And we've been able to replicate that at value. And we have an independent lab that's testing density to R value. So that we're not just transposing numbers from the European market.
Right.
So, for our loose fill product, it's all borate treated, and we use about half as much borate as cellulose because we introduce it in the wet phase, and that completely encapsulates the fiber. And, being able to create assemblies where you don't have to worry about any of the leaching of the flame retardant off the product is pretty crucial when you start looking at, these wall and roof assemblies that may have interior humidity accessing the assembly.
Yeah.
And for us, the ability to use less volume, even though we're price competitive per pound, we're actually going to have greater coverage per bag. So
your overall coverage price will be lower. Yeah. And we've been speaking also about the vapor openness of the product. Can you give us an idea of what the perm rating is for the board? I guess batts are a bit less important on that side, but
yeah, I mean, depending on the density, you're somewhere around 40 perms per inch.
Very nice.
The density that we see entering the market is really, the two common densities that are coming out of Europe for the most part for higher R value dry process insulation, so 110 kilogram per meter cubed and a 140 kilogram per meter cubed. Though greater densities exist and we can produce those. Ours would be a blend of those two densities to maximize compressive strength and maximize R value. So we might be just a little bit under 40 perms per inch.
Okay, that's a great number. Absolutely high vapor open material. Um, the
Yep.
the exterior insulation, you said you're going to the exterior rigid. You said you can go from 1 inch to 10 inches. What is again the R per inch? I thought it was comparable to like a rock wool. It's in the 3.8 range, 3.5 range.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sweet spot for us for the compressive strength is going to be 3.7,
Okay.
3.75. For our 1-inch product, we want it to be at 3.75. That way we can address climate zones that are just calling for, that R 3.75 continuous, and that way you can access that with just a 1 inch. And then our 1.5 will be beyond an R5 per board at 1.5. So it is comparable to other open cell insulations that are on the market. I tell people that it'll be 3.7 to 3.75 while still maintaining a compressive strength around 10 psi.
Okay.
Because I think that's the sweet spot that people expect. XPS, you have to have at least 10, 15, 20%. Whereas a lot of these alternative insulations can be like putting a sponge on the outside of a building, and you just don't have the compressive strength there.
Right, you're deforming the material when you're putting strapping on it and things like that. Yeah, no,
Right.
I appreciate that. That's not something we prefer doing. I mean, we've dealt with it. I've used with exterior rigid rock wool in the past, and that
Yeah.
that does have the downside that it isn't really rigid. It's really kind of a hardened batt product, which is a fine product, and it does certainly have its places. But I love the idea of having something that does not have such a high embodied energy as any of those products, and that also is from a renewable source. I mean, when we start talking about making some of these products, these are not renewable sources. So it lightens my heart as a ecologically focused building science consultant to be able to hear about American products that are doing what we've been expecting European markets to provide for a long time. And some companies like 475 have done a great job at being the outlet for those types of products in our market, but we really need domestic production. We can't go for much longer just saying, it's okay to all that bunker fuel that we're burning to bring over carton, loads and loads of this stuff is not something we have to take into account. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's very exciting for us to hear that these products will be available starting first quarter 2022. So we're talking, a year, a little less than a year before the loose fill product would be available. So just let me remember this right. Loose fill and then rigid and then batt is the process that we're talking about on the release.
Well, it'll be loose fill and then batt and then board.
Oh, and then
yes.
board. Okay. So just think getting denser as we go. Okay, that's
yeah, you're exactly right. The batt's about 50 kilogram per meter cubed, so it's just getting denser, working our way denser.
Okay, great. And when we get closer to reveal day, then I certainly would like to have you back on and talk about the distribution availability here, because I know you said that you were already in discussions with a number of lumberyards here in our market. Fortunately, Vermont has actually is an interesting market for a company like yours, because we have quite a high density of builders who are trying to do that right thing, who are trying to use these alternative and new products, which we hope will be quickly adopted and become the standardized use or materials of use in the future. So Steve, thank you so much for taking your time out to come. Is there anything else like a website? We're going to be asking you for a bunch of links to videos, links to things. Those will all be in the description of the video. And is there anything else you wanted to share before we move on with our day?
No, you can check us out at timberhp.com and learn a little bit more about us and our product line, and you can sign up for the consumer newsletter, which we send out on a monthly basis, and it just keeps everybody apprised of what's happening in Madison and where we are on the production schedule.
Scott, thank you so much for your time today, and we'll be speaking again soon.
All right. Take care, Chris. Thank you.